Well, hi everybody and welcome back to our group here. This is the last video in our series, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect, that we're going to be doing together. Kind of sad, a little disappointed, but you know what? It's been a great ride, hasn't it? And it's been a great few weeks together, learning how to connect with people, increasing our leadership and our influence with other people through connecting on a whole nother level. So thank you so much for joining me and partnering and coming alongside of me as we go through this. I have taken some really great notes, and I have grown so much myself just from a lot of the things that you've been sharing in the group together, and it's been a wonderful journey. You know, we've gone through 10 different lessons, haven't we? Practices, principles, how to add value before we wait for others to add value to us, how to speak, how to communicate effectively, how to look, how to act. The question is this: can I learn how to connect with other people? And you know what? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. You can learn to connect with other people. And you know what? The example is this. The example is Moses. I promise you an example. And if you have your worksheets, go ahead and take them on out because it's at the very, very bottom of your chapter 10, last lesson worksheet. If you don't have it, don't bother to press pause. Just go ahead and listen because I guarantee either way, you're going to be inspired by our friend Moses. So let's dive in today and let's take a look at Moses. First off, Moses was not good with people. Well, wait a second, David. You mean to tell me he wasn't good? I mean, look at what he did. Moses led thousands and thousands of people out of Egypt. But you know what? Moses really knew nothing about connecting with people. He wasn't any good. He was horrible. You say, well, how do you know this? How do you know he wasn't good with people? Well, let me tell you how. It's obvious. You see, when Moses was in Egypt, and you may remember the story, he got mad and he killed a man. You remember that? He got mad and he killed a man. Now, I don't know about you, but I believe that if you kill someone, you're probably not very strong in your people skills. If you have to go and kill a man, you probably don't have very good people skills. So we know that Moses wasn't very good with people. We also know that Moses was wasn't a good communicator. Well, you know this simply because if you remember the story of his God experience with the burning bush. You remember when God spoke to him at the burning bush on the mountain. And God said to Moses that he wanted him to go deliver the people of Israel. Remember that? Well, what was Moses' response? Moses said, well, God, I'm slow in speech. Can I have my brother Aaron go? If you remember, Moses never wanted to communicate. He always wanted to speak through Aaron. Aaron was the great communicator, but Moses was not a good communicator. And lastly, we know that Moses was not a good leader. Really? Moses was not a good leader? You say he's the greatest leader in the world because he led so many people. How could someone who leads so many people be a horrible leader? Well, he really was a horrible leader in the beginning. In fact, what's amazing is that God even asked him to lead the children of Israel. Now, I figure that God asked him for a simple reason, because I figure God wanted us to know that it was only a God thing that humongous and massive task could even get done. Because it definitely wasn't through Moses that this got done. It was because of God. See, Moses was overwhelmed by the task. This is a reality. This is a fact. Moses was overwhelmed by the task of what God put in front of him. The people grumbled about him. The people complained all around him all the time. Matter of fact, his father-in-law even had to pull him aside and tell him how to do it by putting them into groups of people and kind of leading them away that way. See, Moses had no clue. He had to be taught leadership. Wow, we just kind of blew Moses out of the water, didn't we? He wasn't good with people, he was a horrible communicator, and he was even worse leader. So let's take a look at Moses and let's look at some positives. In the book, The Bible on Leadership, it's a book by Lauren Wolf. If you haven't read it, I recommend you get it. It's a wonderful book, probably out of print, probably have to get it online on Amazon, but it's well worth your time to get into deep the character of individuals in the Bible. Now, Lauren Wolf writes simply on Moses. He writes that God's suggestion to Moses was to team him up with him and his brother Aaron, who was a better speaker. We all know that, right? But it was Moses, not Aaron, who spoke to Pharaoh and led his people out of Egypt. What he lacked in speaking ability, Moses possessed in conviction, in courage, and in compassion for people. These traits were communicated unmistakably to all who were exposed to him, both friend and foe. Moses took whatever ability he did possess, and he made the most of it. He did what he was called to do, and he increased his influence and used it to help an untold number of people. And he connected with them. And when he died, an entire nation wept, and the people grieved his loss for 30 days. Wow. David, you say he's a horrible leader. Moses wasn't any good. Well, you know what? If Moses can do it, and if Moses can perfect connection, so can you. And that is the moral of the story. If it can happen to Moses, it can happen to you too. You know you're a great leader. You know that when you have an incredible influence over people, when an entire nation weeps at your death. And that's how it was for Moses. You see, connecting is not out of your reach. I guarantee it. Connecting is not out of your reach. It may be out of your comfort zone because you may have to do things that you're not used to doing, but it's not out of your reach. Connecting is all about thoughtfulness. It's all about adding value to other people rather than waiting for them to add value to you. It's all about finding common ground between you and the other person. It's about giving and sharing energy. Can't you see that in all these lessons that we went over together as a team, that everything that we've taught and gone over in our group is within your power to get it. It's within your grasp. You can get this if you really want it. I think the question is simply this: am I willing to do it? Is it within my will? It's within your power, but is connecting within your will. So ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up our group together, it's very simple. If it can happen to Moses, it can happen to you as well. You can become an incredible connector. You can influence so many people if you really want to. I hope that you go back and reflect on the lessons that we read. I hope that you reflect on them frequently and that you put into practice the things that you're not good at, and you strengthen the ones and sharpen the ones that you're great at. So thank you so much for partnering with me. Thank you so much for going along the journey with me. This has been a great, wonderful time together. And I hope that you found the golden nugget within these 10 lessons that we went over that will increase your leadership lid. Okay, enough of that. Thank yous are wonderful, and I'm so grateful. But what I want to do to end off in closing is simply this: to make a transition from learning about Moses and understanding that you can connect. I want to transition right now into continuing your learning and continuing your education in terms of leadership. So for those of you who are looking to continue and learn and grow, or even if you know other people or even groups, I want to explain to you a couple of other learning systems that I do. You're familiar with the one, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. There's 4 others that I do as well, and I want to share them with you today. The first one is on the book Put Your Dream to the Test by John Maxwell. This is where we look at your dream. This is where we not get inspired about your dream. It's not your typical dream book. It is simply learning to test your dream to see if it can become reality. The next curriculum I do is the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And this is great for basic or even advanced leadership because we go through 21 laws in 10 weeks that are guaranteed to increase your leadership lid as you continue to work on each one of them. The next one is How to Be a Real Success. Relationships, equipping, attitude, and leadership. Putting all 4 of those things together to make you or your people a better success. And last, How to Become a Person of Influence. How to become a leader. What are the basics and what are the fundamentals of influencing other people? I do these 5 curriculums within church. I do them within the business community. I do them one-on-one. A matter of fact, there's various ways that they can be done. And I want to share the ways that we can do them with you. You've experienced the mastermind group format. This is where I take 5 to 15 like-minded individuals and we dive deep into one of these curriculums, usually for about 60 minutes and usually between 5 to 10 weeks on a specific topic. And this is perfect for a business with either staff or leaders or managers or supervisors, or even good for church and ministry that are looking to take their teams to another level. Wonderful, wonderful time like you just experienced together in our last few weeks. I also do what's called partnership summits. And this is really more for businesses and more for corporations. And this is where I partner with you and your team to provide either a 3-hour half day or a 6-hour full day value-adding content through a workshop or a seminar type format. So basically what we're going to do in this setting is we're going to use the leadership lessons through the John Maxwell system that I do to provide detailed and specific results tailored to your organization, and also provide inspiration and motivation for your large group of people. I also do one-on-one coaching in the area of specifically leadership and business development, and we go through these topics as well. And the very last thing I do is what's called a lunch and learn. And a lunch and learn is free. And yes, I said it, it's free, whereas everything else usually has some type of a cost involved to it. A lunch and learn is where I take your business or a group or organization where we gather together for a good 20 to 45 minute talk on a specific subject. And I guarantee you that this is a time that I promise it's guaranteed to shine some really bright ideas and motivation and inspiration to your people, and adding just a ton of value to them as well. And the purpose of this time and the reason why it's free is simple. It's to see whether or not really within your organization a mastermind group or a partnership summit is worth producing for you. So if you're not sure and you want to test it or try it out, a great way to do it is to test it and try it through a lunch and learn, because it's free. So there's a lot of ways that we can provide some great John Maxwell commitment curriculum to you. And I'm always looking for new partners who believe in the content and the message of John Maxwell. So if you see value through the John Maxwell curriculum and the curriculum that I bring to the table, I want to let you know that I would love to work with you in the future. Just let's talk and sit down and go over it together. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for entrusting me to collaborate with you in your development as a leader. This has been such a wonderful time together, hasn't it? I understand that the commitment and time and energy that you've dedicated, it may not be easy. I understand that. You've had to come at late nights, maybe before you've even had dinner. But I want you to remember this in closing, that to add value to others, you must first add value to yourself. My challenge is this. Go out there and take what you've learned and add value to others, but don't forget to add value to yourself and your team as well. And I look forward to working with you again in the future. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and God bless.